am lost. I am so unbelievably lost. I turn and I turn. All of it, everything. Just an endless purple void. Terror, it's tearing through my throat. Bears my senses. I am so close to being submerged in the swirls of purple that surround me. I couldn't feel my body anymore. Was I walking? Running? Spinning? Standing absolutely still? I don't know. I just don't know. I had followed it. I swear I hadn't taken my eyes off of it. But it's gone. It's skittered away from my vision, lost in the homogeny of swirls. Where did it go? Where do I go? Jaws of terror slowly chomped away at my body, nearly consuming my entire being, my entire thoughts, until only one remained. Go back. I must go back. It had charged the door again. My legs strained, but knowing they were the only thing keeping me against that door, they hadn't faltered. The door seemed to bow towards me as it rammed it another time. It snarled in anger and frustration. The angry creature had only been inches apart from me on the other side of a thankfully strong wooden slab. Its claws dragged down the frame and on the floor. I have seen large animals up close before. I had only been slightly spooked by the image of the panther's claws, but they had been behind a barrier, farther away, and I wasn't the object of their aggression. What the fuck was I supposed to do? I didn't want my blood to spill. I've barely swatted at a temperamental goose nipping at my hands, but now I'd have to fight the angry beast from my nightmares. I had thrown myself away from the door. It held still as the angry beast knocked again. I grabbed the long piece of twisted metal I'd been eyeing since I slammed that door shut. My legs wobbled so badly. I was pushing them way past their limit, and I still had more to go. The door splintered some more. Pieces of it stung my face as they flew, but I hadn't dared flinch. A slam. Another slam. One more and it'd be through. Oh, fuck me. The angry beast had broken through, and I lunged forward. Go back. Go back. I had been throwing up, matching and exceeding painful memories of morning hangovers. I had forgotten the punch of the abdominal muscles expelling anything it didn't like. A glorious break from the nausea was interrupted by a voice. Marquise? Are you okay? Yeah, just give me a minute. It had been Freesia on the other side of the bathroom door. Okay. Well, I don't really want to interrupt you, but Robbie is dead. He stopped breathing. Okay. I had only heard half of what she said. Every thought I had in a moment went into the toilet with my vomit. Eric keeps poking her to see if she's really dead, but I think we're sure. I could only vomit in response. We're gonna talk about where we're gonna put her body. Okay, just give me a moment. Silence on the other side proved to me Freesia had walked away. My relief was short-lived because it felt like my entire body was throbbing. My head ached something terrible and my heart pumped wildly. I reached up a hand to soothe the area and my heart was jumping. It had felt more outside than it should have. I lifted my shirt and my breath caught in my throat. It didn't help that another wave of nausea was on the rise. Something wriggled in my chest. I didn't take another second before I grabbed whatever it had been. I felt it tear out of me with a shriek and another wet splat as it landed in the sink after I had thrown it. I vomited one last time before I could start to catch my breath. In those moments, all I could do was breathe and stare. I eventually gathered myself up from the floor and tiptoed over to the sink. Whatever it had been didn't become any clearer as I crept closer. Its moans that echoed in the porcelain were as unnatural as the nightly croaks of a toad sadly imitating the moans of a human. Go back. Go back. When I had stepped out of the bathroom, my coworkers all turned their eyes to me. We all had just blinked at each other until Frisia spoke. "Are you okay?" I nodded. Yep. Frisia bent down to slap away Eric's hand, preventing him poking a body they crowded around, and scolded him for doing so. When she looked back up, she spoke again. "We decided to put her in the extra bathroom. You know, the one behind the storage room? It'd be the furthest away from all of us." I nodded again. I had turned to walk away, stopped halfway through thanks to Kale. "Robbie is dead, you know." "Yeah, Frisia just told me. We should bury her." Kale had meant it more of a demand than a suggestion. "Where? In the freezer?" Kale had nothing but a glare in response. As I had turned once more, he spoke to my back. "You can at least help us carry her in there. Get Eric to help you." I hadn't said another word before making my way to the office and sitting down at the desk. Before doing so, I lifted my shirt and gently brought out the porcelain creature. Its moans were a lot less quiet now that it wasn't in the porcelain bowl. It wriggled slightly, its teeth like appendages lightly scraping against my palms. "It'd be so beautiful if it wasn't so strange." I shoved my hand under my shirt and twisted around in the same motion. Kayla's voice had nearly scared the shit out of me. "What? What are you talking about?" She stood at the window on the other side of the room, peeling back a promotional poster from years ago the store had put up to block it, and stared out. "Outside. It's like my brain can't even comprehend what it is I'm looking at. It looks like a great big purple void to me. Pretty self-explanatory." "Is it?" Her eyes locked onto mine, and I didn't stop the impulse to look away. "What's up with your hands?" "Nothing." I took them tighter to my stomach. "They're just really itchy." "Oh, let me take a look at it." "No, I'm good. I'll be fine." "Okay." Shifty. After an awkward pause, she slipped the phone out of her back pants pocket and checked it. "Right. No service. Ain't that about a bitch?" She returned her phone to her pocket. "Marquise, what the fuck is happening? What the fuck happened to Rabia?" "Kayla, how am I supposed to know? I'm right here with y'all." Yeah, I'm just freaking out is all." "Oh, don't let my quiet demeanor fool you. I'm fucked up in here." "Uh-huh. I can tell." She locked eyes with me again. I tried to beat her in that game of eye contact, but I didn't like the way she looked at me. I turned to face the computer on the desk and ashamedly grabbed the mouse and busied myself with clicking. She had just placed her hand on my shoulder when a realization hit me. The mouse hadn't been moving. The screen was frozen. "What you thinking about? Sending out an email? That could be smart." She had been way too close to my ear, and I recoiled. No, I hadn't thought of that, but the screen's frozen anyways. Why don't you turn it off? Turn it back on? I had reached down to press the power button on top of the PC, but nothing happened. I held it for several seconds and still nothing. Unplug it maybe? I reached over and pulled the plug, but the screen didn't turn off. That's weird. I reached over and pulled as many plugs out as I could. Still, the monitor shined, and even the PC still whirred with life. While we stood there dumbfounded, the porcelain creature moaned a little from underneath my shirt. I looked at her. She looked down at my shirt, and before anything could happen, Eric shouted from the center of the store. I leapt from my seat before she could move and made my way out of the office.
Leave. Leave.
I hadn't known what I was thinking, but surely it could have gone better than that. When the angry creature had broken through and I had lunged, at the very least I thought I'd stab it. But I hadn't been strong enough to hold the pole as the corkscrew metal ripped up my hands. Instead, the angry creature had leapt onto me, forced the pole into my shoulder, and pushed me to the ground. The only thing that had kept me from getting my throat slit was the length of the pole straining under the weight of the angry creature against the bones in my shoulder. Fresh pain. It's always a bitch. I had been pinned between where the floor and the wall met, with a murderous monster of a creature snapping its jaws and swinging its claws. For a second, I had been stuck in a terrible awe of the malformed maw of the creature, now even closer than it had been behind the door. Like Pinocchio, I would soon be in the belly of the beast. The more it snapped at me, the further the pole drove into my shoulder. The terror and pain danced a macabre two-step in my brain, and I about lost it. The fear only started to peter out because I hadn't been chomped on yet. I had time to look around for something. If I had been religious, I would have thanked God the angry creature was a dummy. It had tunnel vision for my throat and didn't care a bit for my legs sprawled to the sides of it. Right at my foot had been her body. I flexed my toes out towards the collar of her shirt. Once my foot was fully underneath it, I pulled. Bit by bit, her body slid towards me. With the help of my other leg, I managed to grab hold of her. The angry creature hadn't changed course, still nipping for my neck. Timing the intervals of its lunges, I reached over with my good arm and fully grabbed her body. I had thrown it at the creature as hard as I could. It chomped down once. The pipe fell away, having started to bend and popped my shoulder out with it. Damn it, I couldn't help the scream. The angry creature chomped down twice before it stopped cold. It looked at me, then threw me as it fell limp. I scrambled away from the dead creature, clamping my hand onto my shoulder. My lungs puffed like a coal engine as I recovered in the corner. It only took a second more for me to realize what had sent that angry creature to the ever beyond. It had stood so tall, its shoulders touched the ceiling. It had to crane its neck at an uncomfortable angle to make eye contact. 5 spindly fingers pierced the top of the dead creature. It hadn't moved. Hadn't even seemed to breathe. With another moment passed, it dragged the dead creature out of the bathroom, through the storage room, and around the corner.
Leave. Leave.
It's gonna replace us. If we try to leave, it'll replace us. We need to stay. We have to stay. Eric had swallowed the rest of his drink. He doubled over, clutching his stomach. dropped to his knees, curled up in a ball, whimpered, and stared at the corner. I only knew this because this wasn't his first time doing so. I witnessed his downward spiral through only my ears on the other side of the extra bathroom door. I had my own battle with the porcelain creature under my shirt. It had gotten bigger, and I could hardly contain its sporadic movements. I jumped back from the banging on the door. Kale shouted from the other side,
"You better shut that thing up, Marquise, or I'm coming through this door."
The porcelain creature moaned its otherworldly cries. Its appendages scrambled underneath the fabric, left long red gashes in my stomach, and ripped strands away from the shirt. I held it tighter as Kale banged on the door in response.
"Marquise, open this fucking door right now."
I heard Frisia from behind Kale.
"Kale, just leave him alone. He ain't coming out of there." "I'm killing that thing right now, Frisia. No more of this bullshit."
He banged some more.
"We can't leave. It's gonna replace all of us." "Shut the hell up, Eric, or I'm coming for you next. If we leave like Rabia, it's gonna replace us."
Kale had rushed away from the door, and I heard him pick Eric up from the floor.
"You shut the hell up now. Ain't nobody leaving but Marquise and that thing he's keeping."
Eric's sobs had reached a guttural peak.
"We can't leave."
Kale rushed back and kicked at the door.
"Open this fucking door!"
The porcelain creature's moans fell into a melodic rhythm, and its scrambling morphed into a wild bucking.
"Oh, shit!"
Kale frantically rushed the door, kicking, punching, and smashing on the handle. Eric's cries morphed into hysteria. Frisia had to have been in tears when she spoke next.
"Marquise, please, stop it."
Amidst the banging, scrambling, and crying, I only had one answer. I don't know how. We all fell to the ground. My back arched further than it ever should. The porcelain creature's moans spilled out from the room, packed the entire store top to bottom with low vibrations that rattled my skull. It was over in an instant, but it was too much for Eric. He had painfully cried out. Hands and racks crashed against each other.
"Eric, calm your ass down."
Kale and Eric struggled with each other while Eric shouted no over and over again.
"Frisia, help me." "Eric, you need to calm down."
No other words had gotten through his head. His mind was stuck on no.
Eric, stop.
There had been a loud wet smack. Kale shouted a painful grunt. Eric's cries grew thinner as he threw himself against the front door and plunged out into the void.
"Eric!"
I only heard his muffled struggle as he seemed to lose the breath in his lungs. There had been a terrible ripping sound of flesh and bone, and then silence. I hadn't had any time to contemplate what happened. In my brief trance, I had loosened the grip on the porcelain creature. It leapt through my shirt and fumbled onto the ground. It spiraled like a flipped roach before gaining some traction. It scurried toward a hole in the wall. Its appendages skittered against the wood. It plunged itself into the hole but could only get halfway through. I shot myself forward and reached out for the porcelain creature. I managed to grab onto a single appendage before it slipped through the hole, took parts of my palm with it. Ah, fuck! I had heard Frisia squeal as the porcelain creature fumbled about the store. I clambered up from the floor, unlocked the door, and stumbled through the storage closet.
"Kale, it's out! Stop it! I'm fucking killing that thing!" "No, don't, please!"
I had pitched around the corner and fought for friction against the floor. I nearly tripped on an overturned rack and reached out for the porcelain creature. Kale lunged forward with a knife and grazed the top of its body. A frightened noise slipped from my throat as the porcelain creature ducked underneath Kale. I hadn't been able to grab hold of it as it continued its scrambling. Kale called out to Frisia as he reached around for one of its legs. Frisia hesitated before she stepped forward and swung a piece of peel down on the front of its body. It had been a solid hit, and it staggered a bit before it pushed Frisia into a table and rushed by. It had been enough time for Kale to get a good hold on one of its appendages. Its serrated limb had cut into his hand, but Kale hadn't let go. He raised a knife, aiming for the side of the porcelain creature's body. I had finally closed the distance, wrapped my arms around Kale's waist, and tackled him from behind before he could follow through. Both he and I had toppled over the porcelain creature, and it squealed, and something cracked underneath us. We had only rolled once before it climbed over us, stabbing its appendages into Kale's leg and into my arm. I gasped in pain but didn't falter. I reached out and grabbed two of its appendages and pulled it towards me. It dragged its appendages against the floor, fighting against me, but I held it tight and managed to bring it underneath me. I weighed it down until it couldn't move its limbs. It bucked underneath, trying to escape my weight, but I was far heavier. I held it tight, even as Kale kicked at me from behind. He had gotten up from the floor and cursed at me.
Let it go, Marquise. Let it fucking go, or I'ma kill you. I'ma kill the both of you. Get the fuck up.
Frisia had rushed up to Kale and pushed at him.
Kale, get off him. Let him be. I can't let him go this time, Frisia. So far, this thing has done nothing but hurt us.
Kale's next words were punctuated with a kick to my back.
This ugly piece of shit is gonna kill all of us. It's gonna end us all.
Frisia had still been pushing against Kale.
He didn't do anything. This store is gonna kill us, Kale. It's the store. It's that thing in the corner.
Kale had stopped his attack on me and had taken Frisia by her shoulders.
Marquise never left Frisia. He never went outside. How do you explain that? Eric went fucking crazy. Don't believe his bullshit about leaving the store. Frisia, just fucking look. Look what happened to Rabia. Look what happened to Eric.
I had been relieved Kale's attack had stopped, and I had looked up to where Kale had just pointed. Outside the door, floating a couple feet off the ground, was Eric's body. He had it worse than Rabia. Pieces of his skull hovered around his body, scattered in different directions, but they hadn't broke through the skin. His head stretched at erratic angles, bits of his brain eager to finally be free from each other, but had still been bound underneath the surface. I had taken hold of the porcelain creature and sat back. It still kicked about, but I held it firm.
It has to be him. That thing in the corner, him, that thing he's holding on to, they're all together. I don't know how. I don't know why. That's right, Kale. You don't know.
Frisia had responded and threw down Kale's hands from her shoulder.
We don't even know him.
You don't know him, Kale. I've known him a lot longer than you have.
Frisia, that thing needs to die. And probably Marquise along with it.
Put the fucking knife down, Kale. You can't even cut a piece right. You ain't cutting nobody. Frisia had turned her back to Kale. She walked over to me, but kept her distance from the sharp, spindly limbs of the frantic porcelain creature. Marquise, we don't know what that thing is, or what it can do. Since we found you with it, it's been messing with our heads. Still holding tight the porcelain creature, I responded.
We don't know that, Frisia. For all we know, it could be that monster in the corner.
It could be, Marquise. For all we know, the thing you're holding could be an extension of the thing in the corner. You got to let go of it.
I can't do that.
And why not? I had looked down at the porcelain creature, looked hard at its face. Look what it's doing to you. She had gestured to the blood that was pooling beneath me and the grisly trail leading back to the storage room around the corner. It's cutting you up. It's making you bleed out. It's hurting you. You gotta let go of it. Between the rivulets of blood streaming down my stomach, deep red scars flashed hot, and it burned against the porcelain creature. Its flailing had been weaker at that point, but I held it tight. It wants to leave, Frisia. I think that'd be ideal if we let it out. It ain't human. It don't belong in here. I don't want it to leave. I'm scared to let it leave. Are you scared it's gonna get hurt, Marquise? Who cares? A scowl half hid on her face. It's a thing. It's a fucking thing. It's hurting you. You're bleeding. You could die.
Well, then let me die. Let me hold on to it and die.
It hurts. But it was here at the start, and I can't leave it to die. I can't let it leave. I can't do it. The porcelain creature's limbs sagged from their upright position, exhaustion halting everything in it. It doesn't deserve to die. Then die with it, Marquise. Kale's foot had squeaked in the crimson as he approached. Leave with it, so it won't die alone. I waited for Kale's eyes to bring out more of my fury, but it hadn't come. Half his face was bloated, and all his weight was shifted to one side, half raising a crooked ankle. Leave the store. Please, just fucking leave. I couldn't take refuge in Frisia's eyes. She had looked away from me. I peered over at Kayla. She looked down at me, but I could tell only the void stared back. Holding on to the porcelain creature as best I could, I pushed my way to my feet. I haven't looked back as I trudged over to the front door. I placed my hand on the bar. I looked down at the porcelain creature. Its limbs were beginning to flow with renewed energy. I had turned my head to face the outside, to face swarms of purple. I pushed against the door, stepped underneath the feet of Eric's body, and left the store.
Leave. Leave.
Eric was nursing his hand and sucking on his fingers.
Ooh, that was hot. Oh.
I had exited the office with Kayla shortly in tow. Frisia and Kale came rushing from around the storage room corner.
Eric, what the hell happened?
Frisia showed her concern first.
Oh, I didn't expect the oven to be so hot.
He had sucked in air through his teeth, then sucked on his fingers some more.
It's an oven, Eric. It's literally heating up the whole store. I just thought it'd be cool by now.
Kale had been squeezing the sides of his temples.
Doesn't the oven run all day? Why would it be cold now? I figured since we were in the Twilight Zone, shit wouldn't be working right.
Well, honey, just run your fingers under the water. Don't want you sucking on your fingers like a calf on a cow's tit. I investigated the oven closer, but didn't even need to. The waves of heat from the elements shimmered and hummed in the air.
So the oven is still on.
I had muttered to myself.
Eric just said that, man. Pay attention. You see the man's in pain.
So
Why
bad.
is the oven still on?
Oh shit, the water don't work now? Eric had been twisting the knobs of the sink in the dish pit.
Why does the oven still work, but the water don't? The computer wouldn't shut off either.
Kayla had piped up.
Even after we unplugged everything. If we're gonna be here for a minute, at the very least, we'll be able to heat up the food in the oven.
I don't want to have to think about being here long enough to worry about running out of food or water.
We ain't staying in here for that long. Somebody's coming to get us. Somebody's gonna do something.
Maybe. I think we have to consider that we're stuck and ain't nobody coming.
And who the fuck are you to decide nobody ain't coming? This is some Stranger Things bullshit. The government might come and reverse this shit.
Reverse?
Calm down, Kale. Nah, why did this motherfucker always gotta be so damn negative? We don't want to think about dying here, man.
Well, you are free to leave. I gestured towards the door.
Take your chances. Nah, I'd put you out there first before I get to step.
Y'all, chill out. Frisia stood between us, standing in front of the cut table, looking back and forth.
If y'all want to toss each other outside, either do it now or quit bitching.
I had looked away, but I could feel Kale's intensity burning the side of my face.
We don't know what happened to Rabia. We don't know if it was something or someone, or if it was the void itself. It don't have any effect on material things, seems like, because the stairs outside ain't been changed. We should test it on like bugs or something to see if it has any effect on anything alive.
Now, I ain't touching no damn roach, Eric had protested.
Then find something else. Anything that ain't human, but is alive.
Kel had more to say, and either he had respect for Frisia or he hadn't wanted to fight with me. But he had walked past me without another word. Eric had been spouting his objections to Frisia as I had exited toward the storage room. I had checked behind me as I closed the door. There had been no light inside, only the purple light from the void shining between the borders of the barricaded window. I was face to face with the door cracked half open. I stood for a while and stared at the visible half of the silhouette on the table. I had heard Eric on the other side of the wall whining about bugs and the oven that still burned. My hands firmly clenched before I took a step forward and opened the door. The light spilling from the other room and into the small space had been enough to make out most of what was inside. A dilapidated toilet with pipes disconnected, random boxes of various sizes, a small sink, and a foldable table reaching from wall to wall. Maybe the void light hadn't done her visage justice, but Rabia's body had been in a horrendous state. She had been turned inside out. Everything that was supposed to be on the inside laid about her form, covered in a hard substance. I was looking for the shine of blood to catch the light, but there hadn't been any. Her head was the worst of the lot. It had been gone, completely taken over by something in the shape of a skull, but unrecognizable still. The lack of features on its face hadn't helped. Whatever had been inside had grown out of her neck from her torso and replaced her skull that had been on top. I couldn't help the grimace and curled lip of disgust as I scanned her body. The porcelain creature moaned from beneath my shirt. I sat with my back to the table and pulled it out. The porcelain creature's form was slick and shined with equal shades of purple and pink. It squirmed, trying to gain purchase on the ridges of my palms, but it was too slick, and what looked to be its appendages were too close to its body to provide it any dexterity. There had been something new, though. Slits on the top of its form, glossy, ill-formed, and unfocused. They slowly rolled around their sockets and lingered around the beams of void light. It attempted to roll over the heel of my right palm, but its slimy appendage slid away without much fanfare, and the porcelain creature moaned in protest. I did away with the smile that had creased my lips. This was one of the most dreadful things I've seen with my own eyes. It was so alien. A scowl graced my face once again, and I had just placed it back underneath my shirt when I heard the storage room door open. Saw a light shine through and heard Kayla's disquieting voice. "Hey, Marquise, you back here?" I had placed the porcelain creature back under my shirt and watched Kayla approach. She shined her phone light at me as she leaned against the doorway. She scanned the body on the table for a moment, then rested the light on my face once again. "Take a good look at her?" I nodded. "It's pretty nasty. Fucked up. It's too bad she suffered. I wouldn't want to go out like that." When I hadn't said anything in response, she continued. "So, how goes the bug hunt? Got other things on my mind than bugs." "Same here." She moved away from the door and fully stepped into the room. She moved the beams of light around the corners of the room. "But I'm not the type to come up with plans. If we got anything, we got Freesia. If she needs bugs, we shall find bugs." She had continued to search the room with her light until she stood above me. Her phone light lit up the bottom half of her face, and her left side was lit by the void, creeping from the borders of the window outside. "You know what's been on my mind?" "What's that, Kayla?" She bent down until she was squatting in front of me. She had placed the phone on the ground, light shining up. "I think you're right. We're gonna have to think about being here for a while. I think what's on the other side of these walls is way beyond our control. The only thing we can control is ourselves and what goes on inside. Once we leave, who knows what the fuck will happen." She searched my eyes for a moment, but I gave her no response there, neither in words. She raised her hand until she caressed the left side of my face. She rubbed her thumb over my cheek. What do you say to taking a little bit of control? I reached up my hand and smacked away Kayla's. Are you fucking crazy? I'm not thinking about that right now, Kayla. Robbie's body is literally right behind us. And you've seen outside. You've seen what happens when you leave. Kayla flashed a small smile before she grabbed her phone and pushed herself up. I don't think we're leaving here. I don't think that's possible. When your world is coming to an end, I think you should celebrate. Rejoice in the impossibility. There's nothing else you can do against that. Against the outside. Except maybe leave and join it. She moved over to the door and fell against it, slamming it shut. I'm not planning on leaving. I'm planning on having a little fun. Kayla, just don't. I wonder what's under your shirt, Marquise. I pulled myself up from the ground. What are you talking about? Why don't you show the room what you've been keeping from me? It's nothing. What do you mean? Something's up with you, Marquise. I can hear it. I can feel it. You're losing it, Kayla. You're shifty as fuck, Marquise. Fucking show me. I want to see it. No. Kayla had shoved her phone into her back pocket. Without the phone, the void light lit up the frame of the door she stood in front of. The porcelain creature moaned again, but it sounded different. And it began to move more erratically. What is that? What is that? A big-ass frog? A toad? Why is it making that noise like that? She had watched as something fussed underneath my shirt. I don't know. It sounds different. I never heard it make this noise. What is it? I don't know. Fucking show me. Kayla had made a move towards me. The void light around her started to shine brighter, and for a second, it was all I could see. Every nerve in my body jumped. The heat rack they laid upon was cranked up to an 11, and I forgot everything. Images of the porcelain creature flashed through my mind. More horrid than it looked then. Spindly, sharp appendages that looked like jagged incisors. A twisted, deformed face and eyes more pronounced. The image that replaced its eyes broke something within me. It was something different, something from within the void. When sitting on its haunches, its head reached the ceiling. And from its corner, it watched the whole store with its one eye. When I could feel something other than pain, Kayla's screaming became prominent. She was fumbling at the door, prying it open. Kill that thing, Marquise! Get rid of it! She flung open the door and ran out of the storage room and around the corner. I followed her, if only in panic. Kayla, wait! I had nearly ran her over coming out of the storage room. She was standing still, doing what everyone else in the store stopped to do. We all stared into the corner by the front door. It hadn't been just me. We had all seen it. We had all begun to lose faith in our minds. The corner was empty, but we all could see the one eye that stared back. Freesia was the first to turn, and she scanned the room. Scanned our confused, fearful faces. Y'all saw that too? That thing in the corner? Is it real? Is it gonna kill us? Freesia admitted she didn't know. Neither of us did. Kale, who had been the closest, had slowly begun to walk backwards away from the corner. I had seen Kayla approach Freesia and pull at her arm. Freesia, Marquise, I had seen it too. I had cut her off and stepped forward. It was a vision or something, and it showed me something else. Kayla narrowed her eyes at me. Did you see me in your vision? Eric asked from around the corner of the dish pit. No, it was some other creature. A blob of flesh with a face. I told Kayla about it before she came running out here. It looked downright horrifying. He said it makes weird moaning sounds and moves like a helpless insect. Could y'all imagine if that thing was running around here? Kayla did not break her loathsome stare. No one in the store had a response but Eric. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine it crawling all over me. I think I'd rather not. We all shifted uncomfortably away from the corner while staring it down. Can anyone actually see the thing in the corner? And some of us denied vehemently. Okay, then I think it's all in our heads. I think the outside is just getting to us. Let's just do our best and try and forget about it. Did anyone find any actual bugs, flies, roaches, anything? No one had found anything else alive in the store. Kayla stared hard at me and I stared back. Marquise found something. All heads had turned to me. Oh, that's sweet. Hand it to me. I'll let it outside, see what happens. I didn't find anything. Fuck are you talking about, man? Kayla just said you found something. Stop playing with us. Kale had stepped closer. I didn't find anything. You trying to sabotage us, man? If you found something, give it. I already said I didn't find anything. I had turned on the spot and started making my way back to the storage room. I'm gonna go keep looking. The last thing I heard Tricia say before I turned the corner was, Marquise, if you find anything, please tell me. I think it'll help. Yeah, I will. I had shut the storage room door behind me, hesitated at the door of the extra bathroom, then sat against a stack of boxes on the floor. I had made sure a direct line of sight between me and the storage room door was blocked by a rack and pulled out the porcelain creature once more. It moved only slightly, but its direction was more sure. Its eyes, still glossy, had been more focused. It peered through me, at the window I had been sitting under, and the color of its skin swirled with the motion of the void. I scowled at its hideous form. I had placed it on a box on the rack and watched it. It barely moved, but it certainly had been moving towards the light.
Leave. Leave.
I had spent most of my time in that storage room, scowling at the porcelain creature. Frecia's bug plan hadn't panned out. They had managed to find some flies and a couple spiders. Some of the flies dropped dead immediately. Some flew for a bit before doing the same. Some of the spiders became disfigured before also turning upright, legs to the void. Through the walls of the storage room, I had heard Kale's distrust of me grow. Kayla's admission of what she heard under my shirt incited his paranoia. Frecia had begun rationing out the remaining drinks in the cooler and food in the freezer. One day she and Eric had argued over the oven. She had wanted to try to find some way of turning it off because the heat dragged through the store. But since there was a possibility they wouldn't be able to turn it back on, and Eric, having not been a big fan of having frozen beef balls for his interdimensional dinner every night, they agreed to let the oven burn. She was the only one who ever visited me in the storage room to express some concern or drop off another bottle of Coke and a bag of heated vegetables. The porcelain creature had sang its melody of moaning many times. Each one had grown more painful, and the creature in the corner had grown all the more real in our minds. I had caught the creature by one of its limbs before it could fall to the floor. Even between my palms, it had wriggled towards the window. Sometimes I would let it fall. It would hit the floor with a wet thud and grunted as it did. It had moved as if winded before orienting itself towards the window all over again. I had refrained from peering into the void, but I caught many glimpses of it in the visions the porcelain creature gave us. I would get sick, my head and thoughts swirling in time with the void.
Get the fuck off me!
I had heard a scuffle on the other side of the wall and a crash of dishes as Eric fell to the floor.
What? What happened? This fool was trying to poison the food in the freezer,
Kale said. I had grabbed the porcelain creature and moved to the wall closest to the sound of the scuffle.
Stop, Kale. Get your hands off him.
Kale grunted in frustration and something clashed against the wall I had pressed my ear to.
We need to get rid of this motherfucker. Throw him outside. Throw him to the void. No! We're not letting anybody leave.
There had been a short pause.
Eric, what were you doing to the food just now? He was pouring the... Shut up, Kale. Eric, what were you doing to the food? If we leave, it'll replace us. Nobody is leaving, Eric. I know, Frisia. I know. We can't leave. If we do, it'll replace us. What's gonna replace us, Eric? Are you talking about that thing we keep seeing in the corner? I keep seeing it, Frisia. Frisia, I keep seeing it. My head. Yeah, we all see it too, Eric. It ain't real. It wants to replace us. Rabia?
That ain't Rabia in there.
Eric, Rabia is dead. I know that, Frisia. I know. Eric, what are you talking about? I don't want to be replaced. I can't leave. We can't leave. Eric, we can't leave. We can't leave. Shut the fuck up, Eric. Hell, back up.
There had been a long pause as Frisia had seemed to leave the room.
He poured the antifreeze over some of the food in there,
she said as she came back.
Yeah, I stopped him from pouring it over the rest. I'm throwing him outside. You ain't about to do nothing. I said to back off.
There had been another short pause.
Eric, have you been drinking this?
Eric whimpered in response.
Kale, you think you can patch that pipe up on the oven? I ain't no goddamn mechanic. And do you even see a Home Depot around here? Because all I see is a goddamn store stuck in a goddamn void. All right, Kale, I was just asking. Frisia, do you seriously believe that Eric won't do this again if we don't throw him out? You're going to kill him, Kale? I would hope so. That's way better than him killing us with him. If the stove can't get hot no more, throw it out. He just needs to chill out for a second. No, the motherfucker needs to die. Look at what he did. He wants to die. The antifreeze he's choking down ain't doing it quick enough. And now he's trying to take all of us out. Here.
Something clatters against the floor.
Do us a favor, Eric. I promise you, that's quicker. Kale, you're doing way too much. Frisia. I'm so fucking tired of your goddamn positivity. Let me tell you what I'm thinking. We ain't in the realm of humans and animals. Nah, we in the realm of aliens and creatures. You think acting like we need to stand on some moral high ground is gonna fucking save us? Fuck this shit. Fuck all of it.
The porcelain creature had begun moaning louder and squirming beneath me. I had scrambled away from the wall. Oh, fuck, not now. I had made as if I was going to squeeze the porcelain creature. Just shut up. It had only moaned louder in response. That time, I had attempted to crush it between my palms. Parts of its fleshy form popped out from between my fingers. I squashed it harder into my palms, curling my entire body with it. Its moans fell into its melody and it thrashed about. I fumbled with an empty box and chucked the porcelain creature into it. I had flung as much junk on top of it. I fell to the floor, clutched my ears, and curled up. Everything became a silent drone before the pain slammed into me. I had writhed back and forth. My legs had kicked reflexively, knocking more shit onto the ground. The porcelain creature floated in the void. Its movements, its skin swirled with its background, and the porcelain creature spoke. Leave. Its sharp appendages twinkled purple and pink, and its eyes rippled into my own before its image was replaced with the singular eye of the creature in the corner. I could breathe again, and the pain had hurtled away. On the other side of the wall, Eric wailed. Kale raged. Only Kayla's voice broke through the cacophony.
Marquise, stop it. Make it fucking stop.
Almost immediately after, the storage room door had slammed open and Kale stood in its frame, fist clutching the handle of a knife.
What the fuck did you do? I didn't do anything.
Kale had rushed at me.
I didn't do.
Kale slashed the knife down into my face. It had dragged from skull to chin. I had effectively pushed with my legs and Kale flew back, tripped over old signs and boxes, landed on his ass. I had been screaming in that moment, almost lost in it. I grabbed the closest thing to me, reached for the heap of junk, slung the box with the porcelain creature into my other hand and ran to the other door. Just as I had slammed it shut, Kale crashed against it. I fell hard against the opposite wall and dropped the two things I had jumbled in my hands. The box had fell away and the corkscrew pole clanged against the toilet. I had jumped with my back to the wall as Kale continued to barrage the door.
What the fuck did you do? What the fuck did you do?
Kale had raged for another moment before there was a large slosh of water and Kale's blowout turned to painful groans.
Why the fuck did you do that? You need to calm the fuck down, shithead.
Kale had groaned in response.
And I'm taking this away from you. Now get the fuck out. And just wait.
Kale had kicked at the door.
What the fuck did you do, Marquise? Hell, leave. Marquise, just stay here.
I had heard Kale and Freesia exit the storage room. I had rushed over to the box, picked it up, and tore it open. I had gently raised the porcelain creature and inspected it. It had moaned quite a bit, but I hadn't seen any wounds. The left side of my face blazed with intensity, but it hadn't been nothing more than a sensation. A drop of blood dripped onto the face of the porcelain creature. I had wiped it away and its eyes peered at me. Eyes that had almost been human. Go back. Go back. I had slowly peered around the corner of the storage room. The dead creature's flesh slid along the floor as the creature from the corner dragged it through the store. With its fingers still lodged inside the dead creature's head, it slugged the dead creature over the front counter and into the lobby. It slowly turned and made its way over to the front door. It turned slowly once more and sat on its haunches in the corner. Its one eye swirled. Its one eye locked onto mine. I had watched it with ragged breaths for several moments. When I had been convinced it wouldn't move, I stepped from around the corner. My feet squeaked and the trails of blood splattered around the floor. The store was quiet. Only the hum of the oven accompanied the disturbed blood in the silence. I had held my shoulder despite not being able to feel it. I approached near the creature, my breath as staggered as my steps. I watched the swirls in its eye before falling to my knees and sitting on my heels. Why did you help me? There had been a pause. Why did you help me? I repeated. There was no real tone in its voice. It was just an iteration and a pitch that vibrated my chest. So did Rabia. So did Eric. Why did they turn out like that? I did too. What's the difference? Why are they dead and I walked? I had to. I got lost. I raised my head and met its gaze. Why am I not dead?
You can't leave.
But you let me leave. I walked for so long, and you let me. Why am I alive?
You can't leave.
But I did. I left. I'm back, but I left. Why didn't I die?
Die.
Yes, die. I am supposed to die.
You cannot.
I blinked for a second before responding. Do you mean that Eric wouldn't have come back? Rabia wouldn't have come back? There is nothing out there. They would have had to come back. They had to. Everything I saw terrified me. And I saw nothing.
You can't leave.
I want to leave. But I can't leave. The light from the void intensified, and the flesh of the creature in the corner swirled maddeningly. I couldn't break its stare. My thoughts became a sludgy mesh. Will you let me stay?
Stay.
I won't ever leave.
Stay.
I won't ever leave. I heard the swirling of the void. Massive waves of thick mesh moving through each other and around, rushing through my ears, rushing through my head. A familiar pain stabbed at my chest. I almost hadn't registered it, but I heard the moans. I ripped away the rest of my shirt, and the porcelain creature writhed inside my chest. I gasped. I reached for it and disconnected it from my chest. Body first, then its spindly appendages. I cradled its body in my hands and observed its face. Purple pink eyes, but a reflection of my own. Disfigured face, but a facsimile of my own. It moaned its melody, and its limbs weakly reached out to the void. I looked up, and the creature in the corner was gone. I twisted my head around, and it stood next to the oven, neck craned towards the floor. I got up and trekked over to the burning machine. The creature from the corner stood still, its eye on me. I placed the creature on the grate, and the belt slowly began to carry it towards the elements. I stood with the creature from the corner behind me and gazed at the porcelain creature as it slowly blackened, its moaning melody silencing only as it reached the end of the belt. Go back. Go back. I'm back. I'm back. My legs waver, but I can't help to smile. The void is behind me. The reflection of the void melts from the window on the facade of the store as I approach. The reflection of my figure emerges onto the glass. The bandages covering my head were dark red. My one good eye pours out streams that wash the scar underneath. I walk under the floating feet of Eric's body and walk over the twisted body on the steps. I open the door and collapse onto a soiled pizza-themed mat. I smile and punch up the fabric in my hands. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Everything was the void. I was walking on it, breathing it. I'm sorry. I didn't want to lose myself. I didn't want to lose. I had looked up. Besides the oven, I hear wet, chewing sounds on the other side of the lobby door. I peer through the crack. Frisia's face is petrified in terror. Her eyes stare into the swirls of purple outside the big bay window. On top, gnawing at what's left of her, sits a ponderous monster with a long, twisted jaw, massive claws, and a broken ankle. It stops its feast and glares in my direction. I had to come back. Right? This has been Leave by Tridus Studios. Thank you for listening. So you made it all the way to the end of the video. I thank you. I appreciate you so much for listening to the whole thing and indulging me and indulging this crazy ass story. Oh, let me tell you, hearing my voice trying to do another character, I was cringing so hard. But it was fun, man. It was fun to put this whole thing together. And the fact that you listened all the way through and you got here, there's something special about you. So I appreciate you, I really do. So this project has a long lifespan, about over a year. I think I wrote it a year and a half ago, but then after I wrote it, I stopped working on it for a bit. I would say about half a year, about 6 months. I just stopped working on it, but then, I got the courage to try it again, to actually record all the lines and all the narration and to get it all in there and to put it all together. I kept putting it off because I was telling myself, you're not gonna be able to do this. You're gonna suck at it. It's gonna be bad. But listen. And I hope you like it. Leave a comment down below and let me know, if it was absolutely trash, if it was absolutely horrible, if it was amazing. Just let me know what you think. I have fun making these things. If you have any suggestions to any stories that I can read, that I could narrate, or any stories you would like to hear me narrate or put my own spin on it, if you like my voice, if you like this project, let me know any other things that you would want to hear from me. While in the meantime, I'll be working on my next one. Hopefully it won't be a year-long process as the last one did. It was fun. I really like doing this. I hope you guys liked it too. Again, let me know down in the comments how you feel about it. Let me know. And I will see you guys in the next one.